So here's another example where I would absolutely not complete the square to solve this. I would use quadratic formula. But you could complete the square to solve this. So let's look at how. Pull the 3 out of the x squared and the 2x, which means if I'm pulling a 3 out of a 2x, I'm left with 2 over 3x. It's just division. Okay, minus 1 equals 0. So now 3 times what squared? Well, x plus half of that number. Half of 2/3 is 1/3. So 1/3 squared. And now I still have my minus 1, but now I need to balance this by subtracting my 1/3 squared times my leading coefficient of 3 equals 0. So 3 times x plus 1/3 squared minus 1 minus what? Well, 1/3 squared is 1/9. Square each piece. 1/9 times 3. 1/9 times 3 is the same as 3/9, and 3/9 is the same as 1/3. If you think quite literally about what we're doing, we're squaring 1/3, which means 1 over 3 times 3 is 1/3 squared. But if we're multiplying that by another 3, then one of those 3's cancel, and you're just left with that 1/3. So minus 1 minus 1/3 equals 0. Why don't we get a common denominator? 3 times x plus 1/3 squared. Minus 1 is the same as minus 3 over 3. So minus 3 over 3. Now I have a common denominator, so I can combine them. Minus 1 equals 0. Except I actually did that wrong just now, so maybe let's be careful and keep that as minus 3 over 3 minus 1 over 3 equals 0. Because now I'll see 3x plus 1/3 squared. Minus 3 minus 1 is minus 4/3 equals 0. Alright, so 3x plus 1/3 squared equals 4/3. Let's go over here, give myself some room. Divide by 3 on both sides, so we will get x plus 1/3 squared equals 4/3 divided by 3 is 4/9. We have another power of 3 in the bottom of the fraction. And that's actually good, because now we're square rooting both sides to get x plus 1/3 equals plus or minus the square root of 4/9. Well, square root the top, you get 2. Square root the bottom, you get 3. So plus or minus 2/3. So x will equal negative 1/3 by subtracting it over, plus or minus 2/3, which means one solution is x equals negative 1/3 plus 2/3 is 2/3 minus 1/3 is 1/3 is one solution. And x equals negative 1/3 minus 2/3 means negative 1/3 minus 2/3 is negative 3/3, and negative 3/3 is just negative 1. So again, we get the same solutions as we got previously using the quadratic formula, but I would argue that the quadratic formula was easier than completing the square. So is it a good skill for you to have to be able to complete any square? Yeah, because then you can identify the vertex quickly and easily. This vertex is at negative 1/3, negative 4/3. But it's not necessarily always the easiest way to solve it. So again, you got to figure out when to use a different approach.